We're wheeling out the big cannons here in WCS Valencia as we get into the round of 4. That's right, 4 remaining players here vie for the lion's share of $100,000. And a now guaranteed new WCS champion will be crowned today. A warm welcome back to the desk, ladies and gents, out there around the world, as I am joined to my left-hand side by Rotterdam and Todd to break down what's about to occur here as we go into ZvZ land once again. And it's going to be True going up against Elazer. Todd, we've seen a lot of Zerg versus Zerg in this tournament. We saw these two going to the forefront in the round of 8. Now they go up against one another.
Yeah, they don't have that much history, actually, interestingly enough. They haven't played that often, just 4 times in total, and once only so far this year, which was in the Go for SC2, where True won a best-of-1. So not going to read too much into that. I feel like what's very interesting to talk about here is the fact that it's ranked 6 against 7 in the WCS Circuit standings.
Yeah.
And we're at the point here where whoever wins, it's 500 more points to add to their standings, and a chance at maybe even getting directly into the global finals by winning the whole thing, and a lot of money on the line. So very important. I feel like whoever wins here definitely is going to be doing really well for themselves, and whoever loses there is only Montreal left to leave an impact. It's just one tournament that you can't blow then, so it's going to be pretty epic, I think, between these two.
2 players that are no stranger to the global finals either, with True having secured himself in 2016 the spot through WCS Summer, and then Elazer going as far as he did. So both players certainly vying for at least a direct qualification would be fantastic for them.
I mean, that's the new thing right now, right? With Neep losing, that means we actually get to see the player directly, and it's not just WCS points, like Todd said, but also in the end, you know, the winner of this tournament will go straight into the global finals at the end of the year, so you don't have to worry about the points anymore.
And 25,000.
Yeah, that helps, you know. But I mean, you make that in a day, right? Caster Esports earnings left and right. Todd is 34 and he's still winning tournaments. It's ridiculous, but no, it's going to be a really fun series. I think stylistically, it's also going to be a fun series. You know, it's a big series outside of StarCraft, but just focusing on the way they play StarCraft. I think Elazer is a player that normally likes to switch it up a lot, likes to go with some crazy builds. But I think Elazer is going to analyze the series as, I know what True does. I know True makes a silly amount of units. I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to try to make sure that I'm bulletproof. And if I am bulletproof, then maybe I can make it to the finals. Well,
we are almost ready here for WCS Valencia. And before we do get to our matches, of course, we have a bit of a teaser for you here in the road to the semi-finals.
Only one can move on to the top 4. It's Cyril and True.
And True may be over here, about to claim victory in the round of 8.
Massive kills there on those. True gets the upset, takes it out 3-1.
So far, so good, but hard opponent now. So I hope I will win. I was in final 2 years ago in this tournament, so extra important to win this time.
We have 2 Polish Zergs going up against one another, and it's True that waits for the winner in the round of 4. Give it up for Elazer and Nurcho.
The Elazer up 50 supply, I think this is going to be pretty much it. Nurcho has to know it as well. It seems like Elazer is going to go to back-to-back semi-finals at the WCS Circuit. Excellent job here, please.
Valencia is pretty special even for me. I think it was the first LAN event I ever went to. Finally, I'm playing on stage. I always drop out in the group stages. Yeah, it just feels great right now.
One of the true Cinderella stories of WCS is Elazer, who has, over the past couple of years, just kind of gone from truly just an amateur player all the way through the ranks to professional, to gaining himself that top 4 at BlizzCon in 2016. And, you know, he's in a top 4 once again. He goes up against a tall task in True. But we've seen a lot of Zerg versus Zerg from these guys, to the point where True is bringing out a lot of Ling Mutalist style. And Elazer could probably try and exploit some of that, no?
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, though, I feel like True is a little bit more predictable. Even though Elazer, he likes to play aggressive as well. He definitely also can slow things down if he wants to. Even though True also in the past, you know, we've called him like the cheeser, the guy who likes to play super aggressive. And there was a couple of games where he was like, all right, well, my opponent expects me to be aggressive. Let me just take 4 bases, get up to 80 drones. In ZvZ, though, you can't do that as much. So then it would be hard for Elazer. So obviously, there's going to be a a lot of scouting involved
right.
here for them to try and realize what the opponent's up to. And I feel like Elazer should be a favorite, but true, it's so easy to count him out, and you shouldn't do that.
Well, we can talk about it in a little bit, moment's time, but we are ready to bring our players onto the stage here for our round of 4. So, Smix, take it away.
Thank you very much, Claris. It is time for our first semifinal match where it comes down to Poland and South Korea. Our first player fights for his first grand finals at a premier event ever, while his opponent has his eyes on a second WCS title. Please welcome, it's Elazer and True!
Zerg vs. Zerg for the round of 4 here as Elazer and True make their way to their PCs, to their booths, to do battle in this best of 5. Rotterdam, do you have thoughts on this upcoming Zerg vs. Zerg?
I mean, I already shared some of it. I think it's going to be a very fun series, and I think what Todd said is very important, that you can't count this man out. There's something that a lot of these, like, I'm often surrounded by the European pros, right? And they're all, like, very confident in their own ability, and they like to talk each other up, but when it comes to talking NA players up, other than Neep, it's going to be really hard. Well, Major these days as well, but, you know, in general, they don't give credit out very quickly. And for True, it's the same. It's like, True is obviously good, but a lot of them obviously say, you know, like, he won Montreal, that shouldn't have happened, you know. We all suck. Like, it's all we against, you know, the one player True. Obviously, there's more to it than that. True is obviously an excellent player. I think his manager tweeted today as well. It's like, you guys underestimate True over and over again. If he's practiced and well rested, he can beat anybody on this circuit. And I do believe that, but sometimes it is a little one-dimensional, though.
True seems to be in very good spirits. He's like all smiles and stuff on stage, which is kind of rare, you know, for some of these pro gamers. You know, they're known for not necessarily showing that much emotion. So I feel like something must be going right, I guess, in his life, and he's feeling it right now, and he's doing well.
Well, he won a strong Zerg vs. Zerg against Cyril, of all people, a player that has looked so good in Zerg vs. Zerg, even against people like Elazer over in the Challenger. So that's got to give him a bit of confidence, surely.
It's going to give True a lot of confidence, but at the same time, I feel it's going to give Elazer some confidence, because you could see Elazer on the stage as well. He's like, oh, it's so good, I don't have to play against Cyril, you know. That's like all he wanted, and it's very nice when you're watching a best of 5 of 2 potential opponents, and the player you want to win actually ends up winning. But, you know, we can talk about it for days. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to execution once again here. I think True is going to be the more aggressive player, but Elazer is also not afraid to get down and dirty. It's probably going to be a little bit of a messy ZvZ, but I feel that when you look at the different phases that ZvZ can present to us, you can have Ling Bane, you can have like Ling Roach, you can have Roaches, Lurkers. I think when it comes to all these different styles, I think Elazer is a more complete ZvZ player than True.
Yeah, especially if we go past Ling Bane, I think, in particular, which might be the whole plan of True, just to stay on that and try to be as aggressive and scrappy as possible. But again, I feel like both players are going to have to be on points, Elazer in particular with the scouting and reacting. All
right, well, I'm hearing that we're ready for it. And make sure to hashtag WCS. Tweet us who you think is going to win this round of 4 match and who is going to move on to the grand final. One final thing, Roddy?
Who do you think is going to win, Claris?
Who do I think is going to win?
Yes.
Nobody cares who I think
Absolutely,
is going to win.
We all care. We want to know right now. Twitch is going crazy.
Come on.
Elazer.
Okay.
There you go.
Score.
He's good at Zerg vs. Zerg.
Score.
3-1.
He was dying to give.
This is not true at all. Don't throw me under the bus. Anyway, away with you guys. It's time to go over to our commentary team here. Our first round of 4 match here for WCS Valencia.
Here we are in the first semi-finals match. It's going to be yet another ZvZ with 2 fantastic players, one coming from the North American region, the other coming from the European region qualifiers. I'm joined by Pig. How are you doing today, Pig?
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to be watching these confident young men up there on that stage. And they are going to be diving right on into map number 1, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand side. Our blue Zerg player. It is True.
And up here, in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player. Give it up for Elazer.
Nice, we kill it there. Both players looking very focused here going into this, but interestingly enough, we can see a very aggressive opening out of Elazer. Looks like he's going to be the one opting for that 13-12. Meanwhile, True heading down just to take that hatchery first, which he used so many times against Serral.
Yeah, and Big, how do you usually feel about these kind of openings and how they play out against each other? Because typically you see the hatch first and it can get a little bit dicey against the early pool openings. Sometimes you see players that really just try and save it. Sometimes you see players that just give it up and use it as a way to bide time and get up additional defenses behind it.
I think it definitely comes down to the variation, and this is a big map, so Elazer's going to go for the queen first. This means he's going to be hiding the Zerglings, pulling them up, waiting for Ling Speed to finish, as well as the Baneling Nest, and then he's going to run in all at once with one big surprise move. This is the same build he did against Nurchio earlier. Nurchio hung on really well. He shut it down, didn't take too much damage. He defended his ramp very well with his second queen, microed his Zerglings and drones just right, took no worker losses pretty much, and was way ahead. But Elazer seems to have confidence. And I gotta say, the reason a lot of players don't do it on this map is because you're so far away, your reinforce takes so long. So that first wave has to do a lot of damage. If True can kind of block off his ramp, anything like that, that's where things get very nasty for Elazer.
Yeah, there is a Baneling Nest coming out for Elazer, but only one drone on gas, so he's not going to be able to make too many Banelings. He's definitely going to be limited in that regard. It's mainly about the Speedlings doing a ton of damage, and of course, True is going to have a hard time because he's not going to have Banelings of his own to help defend him.
Yeah, he's adding more drones in right now. It's the same situation as with Nurchio. You know, it seems like, hey, everything's normal, okay, only building 2 Zerglings was True, and now he sees the Lings come in. His first 2 Zerglings just get surrounded like that. This queen is going to go down the moment she pops out. Ooh, Elazer, yes, does get the wraparound there. He's going to cut her off. Those drones on the low ground will be going down as well. True desperately trying to micro. He's trying to drop a Baneling Nest, but Elazer already getting a good amount of damage done.
Oh, beautiful move over here from Elazer, catching those Lings as soon as they pop out of the cocoons. Can get a lot of nice pickoffs. This is all just starting to snowball a little bit further in Elazer's favor. I mean, the army supply is really telling the tale right now as Elazer is just storming through and True has nothing back at home to defend.
So many workers going down. Another Baneling is still alive. Those drones trying to drill back to what they think is safety, but it's not.
No.
There's too many Zerglings. Another Baneling finishes morphing. And Elazer here with a quick, decisive, all-in attack is doing the massive damage. The queen goes down. The last couple of drones are falling. And this has been a huge success. Elazer, great execution of a gambly assault, but it worked out here, and he's going to take game number 1.
Elazer throwing up the finger for standing for, assume, a 1-0 lead. Doing pretty good.
That was a very positive reaction from him there. I think he feels pretty good. You know, it's always a little bit nervous, I think, when you go for a build like that in game number 1, but it worked out, hey.
I mean, I love the idea. Everyone, and of course, we were talking about this in the desk, we were talking about this in the previous series, True has always been an aggressive player, and you always expect him to be setting the pace, because that's one of the biggest advantages of being aggressive, is you are the one dictating the pace of the game, but Elazer just turned that on its head and said, no, I'm actually not going to let you play your game. I'm going to attack you before you can even attack me.
And that sets a tone for the series to come. The next map will, of course, I believe, be Defender's Landing there. Now, interestingly, in the vetoes, we didn't talk about it too much before, but we saw them earlier. It was Blood Boil, which Elazer chose to veto. So, funnily enough, that was a map him and Nurchio both looked very comfortable playing each other on. But it looks like Nurchio here not wanting to play that map against True. And that's interesting, because that was the map where both players sat back a lot. They built up, they macroed really hard. Elazer saying, you know what, maybe there's too many chances there for True to do something cheeky. He can wall off the front, maybe he goes for a Nidus, maybe he's just super greedy and I don't scout it. But Elazer coming into this already with a very aggressive opening. The next map is Defender's Landing, in fact. I don't know. I think Elazer's just going into this saying, let's bring the fight to True and let's just, yeah, like you said, take him out of his comfort zone.
That's definitely seems to be the case. And it's so funny because we just don't see Defender's Landing. I mean, regardless of the matchup, we don't see it that often. And it's even more surprising because I know a lot of players will end up vetoing particular maps, saying, oh, you know, I don't really like this map. I'm just not going to play it at all. I'll just use my vetoes in general on it, or my opponent will use their veto on it. But sometimes in a best of 5, It's available, and you don't quite have those same 2 vetoes that you normally would in a bigger matchup.
Not at all, Ravi. We're going to have to see how these players choose to play it up here in the top right-hand side of Defender's Landing. It is Psystorm Gaming's True.
Getting aggressive right off the bat. Ooh, yeah. And his opponent spine down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. The red Zerg player setting up 1-0. It's Elazer.
This is going to be a right off the bat aggression from True. Same sort of build order that Elazer did last game, being thrown back in his direction. But Elazer did not go for hatchery first. He's gone for a gas pool opening. How greedy is he behind it, though? He no doubt will be dropping a hatchery, but I've actually seen Elazer stop on 16 drones many times on this map and build a lot of Zerglings and go pressure his opponent. So that sort of opening, if he does it again here, like we've seen him use in the past, it's going to be very safe. And unless True really catches him off guard, I think Elazer will be quite well set up to hang on here.
Yeah, and Defender's Landing is generally a really nice map for being aggressive just because it's fairly short rush distances, but that also means that your overlords are able to get to your opponent's side of the map very quickly and scout this out a little bit faster. You're going to see the overlord start to make its way over. Lings for True going to be moving up along the left-hand side of that natural expansion, so going to try and dart around the overlords, and we'll see how many how many drones do we have on gas for True right now, because that will be a little bit revealing of how many banelings he'll be making. We see that there's 0. He is going straight into pure speedling.
That's going to be an expansion pressure here. Elazer himself cutting at 16 drones and building a lot of Zerglings. And I think he's about to find out about True's rush in a few moments. True's starting to move in, that link speed getting close to done. He's seen the hatchery timing. So Elazer knows something's up. He's just going to send 2 Zerglings across the map, and the rest he's going to pool up at home and use to try and defend this hatchery.
Yeah, 1 queen already making its way down to the natural. She's way in the open right now. And True may catch
a big mistake.
Oh, that's going to be a really nice catch for True. Well, if he can catch her, what does she do? Does she oil up before the links came in?
And still a lot of damage going down on her, though, and that queen is very important. There is an army supply lead for Elazer right now, but only just barely, and his link speed still hasn't finished. He needs to buy a little bit of time here. He should be able to defend this hatchery, but he's got to make sure those lings don't slip into that main base either.
Yeah, you can see that True's trying to do the same tactic that that Elazer pulled against him in the last game, trying to get those surrounds on the links as they pop, and it's a bit difficult because whenever that queen adds in that extra DPS, you just start to take worse and worse ling trades.
Nice work, a lead for Elazer here. 3 drones up. Does have a 3rd queen on the way as well to help cement that position. Both players with very similar Zergling counts out, so a good start here for Elazer. A solid lead, 3 drones doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're only at 16 or 13 drones apiece, that is a large percentage of your total economy. So Elazer, solid lead. What will he be able to turn it into? It looks like a lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, a decent number of Zerglings. Still just both of these players, I don't know if it's that they're not feeling as comfortable and they're a little bit afraid about a big counterattack, but...
It makes sense though, right? Yeah. Such a small map. If you give up ground, you might be in trouble. And True here actually is the one going for the faster Baneling Nest. Yeah, Elazer. Oh, he's going to sneak a few Zerglings around. I like that move. He's got Queens on the defense as well. We'll be able to defend True there while going into the main base with his Zerglings. He's going to see that Baneling Nest, and that's the warning he needs. He's got to drop a Spine Crawler at home. He's starting more Queens. His Zerglings trying to engage in the middle of the map. He knows he actually has a Zergling advantage right now. But the moment Banelings are added in for True, things are going to get turned upside down.
Yeah, True's really going to be relying on those Banelings, but you can see he just seems to have barely enough lings to take an engagement over here against Elazer, and he is able to chase those lings away. He's going to be able to buy himself a bit of space to morph in some of those Banelings. Now, he was supply block for a little bit, so you're starting to see his supply a bit lower than Elazer's. Elazer also going for those rocks, trying to cut off one of the attack paths, but lings are already coming in.
True down to just 11 workers right now. He is so all in. He does not have much economy. More Zerglings sneaking across the map. Those 4 from earlier squeaked on by, trying to grab a few drone kills, wasting a lot of mining. Elazer's got 3 queens and a spine over here. Oh, there is no way True can break through that.
So far, this has just been a masterclass act from Elazer on how to deal with True and his aggression, but this is where True really shines with the Baneling Ling Micro. We'll see how good the Baneling hits are going to be. They're going to need to be very fantastic for him to break through. The Queens taking quite a few hits over here from the Lings, and the Transfuses
Where's
are
the
good.
focus fire? I mean, the Transfuses are great, but no focus fire on the Banelings. His Zerglings couldn't come in. That should have been an easy hold for Elazer, but a little bit of a blunder. That being said, he's still killed most of the Zerglings of True. He will defend with only a couple drone losses, and he got a Zergling counterattack to the other side of the map. Not as clean as it could have been from Elazer, but it was enough.
Yeah, and now there's next to nothing over here for True to help defend against these Lings. He should maybe eventually be able to clean these up, but the drones being pulled off the line is really telling the tale of this. Elazer on the verge of going up 2-0 in the semifinals of WCS Valencia.
True may have managed to upset Cyril, but Elazer seems to be a different story right here. Elazer going for these somewhat aggressive yet also very safe builds, and he has shut down True in game 2. A very quick 2-0 lead. Suddenly, the young Polish player is just one game away from going through to the grand finals.
Look at the confidence on that face. Just everything saying, yeah, as expected, as it should be. I mean, the desk was talking about how these European players have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in their own ZvZ skills, and I think Elazer is showing why that's the case.
He's a player who first burst onto the scene with that trademark confidence, Ravi. It's good to see him showing it here again. There have been some moments where he's shown a little bit of a, a slump in his confidence when he's been having a tough time in a matchup, but this does not seem to be one of those tournaments. He is looking very confident down there. He has throughout the group stages as well. Looked very good in that previous Zerg versus Zerg, and I mean, I've been talking about it for a while. Elazer, the way I see this guy's story is ever since he finished school, he has been on the up and up. He has looked absolutely unstoppable, except against one guy. That one guy is Cyril. True took him out in the previous round, and now Elazer is just going straight through in God mode. If he wins one more game, he goes through that grand finals, and I would love to see him take on Special or Snoot there. I think he has a very good chance of tucking away his first championship trophy into his luggage later on.
Oh, that would feel very good. Of course, I think most people always look back and say, man, this guy, he's going to be going places, semi-finalists at BlizzCon. I mean, unheard of, I think, for many foreigners to do so well at BlizzCon in recent years, but Elazer has been making it happen, and again, he would love to be able to make this one next game happen as we hop onto Sequencer for game number 3. Pig, what are your predictions, man? This series has already just started off with a lot of aggression from both players, but what happens in game number 3 after both of them had attempted a cheese?
This is going to be very interesting. I really do think True will go back to the hatch first. No idea what Elazer is going to bring out. We're going to have to find out as we launch into that map. The battle between the number 6 and number 7 ranked WCS players in the standings. Both of them fighting to cement their spot towards that BlizzCon WCS Global Championship. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand side of Sequencer, it is True.
And up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player, currently sitting up 2-0 and ready to move on to the grand finals. It's Elazer. Good call from Pig. We do see that hatch first for both of these players, in fact. And Sequencer, I think one of the maps where you can grab that in-base third expansion, but what do you usually see in ZvZ?
Yeah, I mean, we saw both Elazer, Nurture, a few different Zerg players in this tournament go for that quick third, but that is, of course, a gasless opening. In this case, both players taking gas. Looks like it's going to be a much more generic opening. A little bit of a faster spawning pool here for Elazer. Maybe worried about the potential early pool options. Meanwhile, True going for the more standard 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. And just going to be progressing into that. Of course, this may be our first opportunity to see something like what we saw in True vs. Cyril, where it's a lot of Ling-Bane wars over the third bases, both players trying to deny each other's bases, trying to run buys in. And it's going to be interesting to see what these players have planned for the mid-game. Is True still hell-bent and getting Mutalisks out? Is Elazer still sticking to that Roach game? What are they going to throw out?
Yeah, what's really cool, I think, in favor of Elazer is that he had the opportunity to watch that last series that True just played versus Cyril. And he knows how True has been playing. He knows about that kind of mid-game stage where he wants to get into the Lings, he wants to get into the Mutas, that sort of less conventional style than the traditional Roach play. I'm really curious to see what Elazer, if he brings it to that stage of the game, if it gets to that stage of the game, how he's going to react, how he's going to adapt and learn from any of the mistakes that he feels Cyril may have made.
It's going to be interesting because Elazer, I think he's shown the biggest range out of any Zerg versus Zerg player, right? We saw him try to go mutas in that game against Nurtio. Actually, sorry, it was Nurtio going for the mutas, right? And he... Both players took turn. In his last game against Nurtio, he was trying to go mutas. He did get them out. He held on against the Roach Baneling push, but he's shown great Roach play. He's shown all-ins. He's shown standard play like we're seeing right now. And this is why my eyes are kind of glued to Elazer, because I always feel like this is the scariest thing to play against in Zerg vs. Zerg, is a player who just has so many different builds and such a range that you can't predict what they're going to do. It's very reminiscent of how Dark plays the matchup. Dark always pulling out these all-ins 1 in 2 or 3 games, but he's got great macro play. He can play mutas, he can play roaches as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a player that I think for a very long time was somewhat overshadowed by his Polish brother, Nurtio, who just was so dominant. And I mean, King Archer, of course, a very, very strong player in the scene. But Elazer did finally, again, have that kind of big breakout performance with BlizzCon, and a lot of eyes have been on him. But here we go. Baneling Nest are going to be finishing up. Lings with speed do kick in, and it seems like Elazer going to be starting this off strong, getting a nice scout in the main base, seeing the gas on, being mined, and has a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, drones popping out, just puts his mind at ease. He says, hey, you're not pumping out Zerglings right now. There's no hidden pool of 20 Zerglings all kind of standing in the back of the base, hiding from my Overlord's vision. So Elazer knows he can safely drone on up with minimal investment in Ling Bane. Neither player wanting to commit to a lot of pressure, and this could speak to the length of the map. Neither player wanting to kind of try to force the issue when it takes so long to get over there.
Well, Ling's continuing to dart around. Elazer just doing such a good job of keeping an eye on everything that's coming out. Sees the layer timing. And, of course, behind this, Elazer... Ooh, True.
Cheeky, a couple of...
Sneaking a couple of Banelings in, and when is Elazer going to notice? He has not noticed yet. This is going to do some pretty substantial damage. 9 drones going down.
That is like the most drones you can kill with one of those sneaky Banelings getting in there. Hey, check out the worker count, Ravi. Elazer's still up 2 workers. What the? Of course, there's a big army supply lead for True, though. He's got a massive Ling Bane coming across this map. He wants to take the fight to Elazer. He's just taken a big chunk out of his economy. Elazer here with only a couple Banelings and a Queen. This is not a lot of defense. And oh no, he activates the other Banelings. This is not looking good. Elazer, where are your units right now? You've been too greedy, mate.
Oh, but a 2-for-4 trade in favor of Elazer. It's going to help out a lot with the defense now. There's still a few units left over here for True. The last Baneling that's already finished up has been killed off now. And it seems like Elazer may have a chance of defending. He is starting up a few roaches, but the number of Lings already out for True doing the damage on this mineral line are going to be very difficult to deal with.
Wow, a ramp Baneling there. Of course, pops out of the darkness and explodes into about 12 of True's Zerglings. Great micro from both sides. I think at the end of the day, Elazer will hang on, maintains a couple of worker lead. But that's okay, because behind this, True's got a Spire on the way. And oh my, he's got even more Zerglings coming across.
Yeah, a Nidus Worm being thrown down over here for Elazer. Sort of surprising since he's still under attack right now. Having to pull the drones off the line. Ends up losing a few of them. The work count has been evened up, and these Lings are still doing damage. As they make their way to the natural, they are going to end up spotting out that Nidus Worm as well. Ravager getting taken out.
These Roaches are having a bit of trouble right now, but Elazer needs to keep fighting over here. He can't let those Zerglings spot that Nidus Worm. He doesn't have a lot of Queens right now. He's mainly just building Roaches, Zerglings, and Banelings. He needs to hold on here, but True is just non-stop rallying Zerglings. What use is a Nidus Worm going to be if you can't even defend your third?
Oh, he is able to push those Lings back for now. True has to back up. The third is very low on health, though. It's going to be very much a target for later, but I think that Elazer's saying, I don't want there to be a target for later. The Nidus Worm is spotted, but the Nidus Worm is already going up right now. The problem is, can Elazer safely move into the Nidus Worm and do a lot of damage? If he does, those Lings are going to have a great opportunity to counterattack.
There we go. The Nidus Worm has popped. Roaches started to pop out in the main base. A single Baneling trying to defend. True's Ling Flood does take out a good number of them, but there's still about 20 Zerglings flooding into the main. A few splitting into the natural. True is definitely going to find a bunch of damage here, but at the same time, his main base is being ransacked by Roaches. both players all over the place right now. The economy is tied neck and neck. I have no idea who's ahead right now. There are 8 Mutalisks in total coming out. They are going to overwhelm the units over on True's side of the map, and that's definitely something which is very good for True.
Yeah, True will be able to clean up all of these fairly expensive units. I mean, comparatively to just the Lings that he's losing inside of Elazer's side of the map. So we'll see how things end up playing out. Another Nidus Worm gets taken out almost immediately. Elazer, not getting the better end of that.
Yeah, and when you're down on this gimped economy, 3 bases apiece, but only 36 or 30 drones each, you do not want to be the one sitting on Roach Queen tech. You want to be the one with the Mutalisks out. So True, he's smiling right now. He knows he's very happy. His Mutas are going across the map. He does see another Nidus Worm coming in here. But I mean, there's so few units that can even pop out of it. I mean, he's going to have to pull home, but that's about all this achieves.
Yeah, and not only that, but every single time he's moving in with these Nidus Worms, he's been sacrificing some of these queens, not even unloading the units that time, realizing, yeah, it was all scouted out. I guess he does buy himself a bit more time to get up some spores, but they're only just now starting up those mutas. I know that Sequencer is a big map, but they are already darting across the map, and they may be able to get there before the spores finish.
Good aggression from True this game. You know, he did well with that Ling Bane pressure at the third, of course, carrying through the early advantage. Wow.
Bad rally on those drones, and GG is going to be called. True taking game number 3, starting to bring himself back in this series.
Those sneaky Banelings in that early game, 9 drone kills. You can't give True that much room because you saw what happened when he did that. Elazer, unfortunately, just not spotting those Zerglings. We were watching him get a full scout on True's base saying, oh, this is great for Elazer. He's scouted everything. Then, you know, a few seconds later, 9 drones are dead, and True just ran away with that game.
I feel like that's just, again, typical True fashion. You look at the game and you'll say, oh man, you know, things seem to be going okay, relatively even, or maybe even a little bit in favor of his opponent, and then suddenly he finds a weakness. That is what True's superpower is. He finds weakness. He is the man that, he's Batman, basically. He's always carrying kryptonite around in his backpack and has a different type of kryptonite for everybody.
Oh yeah, he is ready. He studies the builds, he finds the weaknesses. He's always got Zerglings poking and prodding. And I mean, oh, there's such a great maneuver. Earlier, you know, it was the secret to his success against Serral in that final game as well. He like had those sneaky Banelings that he kind of looped around Serral's roaches and split them up from the Zerglings and killed them all. He's been showing some very creative maneuvers throughout his play. And I think if Elazer slips up a little bit, gives him another edge like that, True does definitely have a chance of getting back into this series. Of course, only one more game for Elazer to progress. True needs to win 2 in a row.
This is still going to be a bit of an uphill battle for True. We'll see what, we'll see what he can manage to do as we hop onto Abyssal Reef. Definitely a little bit of a different map than some of the other ones we've been seeing. Of course, Defender's Landing, probably the weirdest one that we've seen so far, but Abyssal Reef can also lend itself to some of that early aggression.
Absolutely. It's always interesting to see the players react after this. You know, Elazer was on a roll. You can see him a little bit more focused and serious now after dropping that map. True there as well. He's got a real set to his jaw. He wants this so badly. For him, not making it to BlizzCon is not an option, of course. Up here in the top left-hand side of Abyssal Reef, it is True. Playing for Sidestorm Gaming. Living in their house over there in the US.
And this man down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, going for the early pool opening, looking to close out this game. Give it up for Elazer. Oh, that mask will never get old.
Not at all, man. I really want one at home, actually. Just to wear to events as a dinosaur, it would be a lot of fun. Of course, interestingly enough, a 12 pool from Elazer. I guess this is really the only map that has a short enough rush distance for this to work out, if we think about it. Yeah, they're all pretty big at the moment in the current pool. So I guess Elazer here, he's just going to do a typical 12 pool. You go across with a bunch of Zerglings, you try to kill your opponent's expansion, try to do a bunch of damage, and behind that, he's got an expansion, and he's got to play gasless for a while after. Interestingly, True has just done the weird thing that True does. He's opened up with a normal 17 hatch, but then he's dropped a spawning pool and a gas on, I believe, 16 and 15 supply. So he's actually going to be able to build Zerglings and Queens so early. Usually he does this to gear up for a rush of his own, but it also works out being super safe against what Elazer's doing.
Okay, well, the Lings have been spotted. True is going to be able to react in. Ooh, Elazer turning around with the Lings. Interesting, after being spotted as well. So that's going to buy True even just a little bit more time. Every second really does count. Even if you pull back for even 2 or 3 seconds, that means that your opponent may have that next little swarm of Lings. And we can see the drones being pulled off the line to try and save this hatchery, make sure it doesn't take too much damage.
I'm not sure if he's trying to make this look like a different build than it is, or if that was a mistake, but Elazer definitely has slowed down his Zergling reinforce. He's going to try and take down a few of these drones. One drone goes down, a second falls, a third, fourth drone do go down. Nice focus fire from Elazer. He's getting a lot of kills here. True, not being patient at all. He should have been waiting for those Zerglings before he fought, but he gave up a lot of kills there, despite otherwise having a very good Zergling timing. Elazer taking a decent Zergling trade, but most of his Zerglings have bled out now, so he's just going to be going back to droning, building some queens.
Okay, well, how is True going to be able to bounce back from this? You have to remember that it's not just about the fact that, yes, they were even on workers for a little bit, but remember that True had a lot of his workers pulled off the line. He wasn't mining at that time, and you can see he's starting to fall a little bit further behind in terms of that worker count, sitting, I think, 16 to 20 or so. And of course, he's going to try and find some use for some of these Lings, but it's going to be somewhat difficult.
Absolutely. Right now, of course, True does have the gas advantage, but he hasn't been able to use it. 140 gas in the bank, but he's been so focused on rebuilding his economy, he doesn't get to use the Zergling speed. This is something Elazer would love to scout. He wants to get those Zerglings into that base, but True here being very diligent. Queen on the ramp should be able to stop those.
Oop, 2 queens do get the final hit off, preventing the Ling from making it into the main base. But yeah, Zergling speed is going to be going up over here for True. We do see True getting a little bit more lucky with his own scouting Ling. Gets all the way into the main base, gets a full scout, seeing how many queens, how many drones are being made, and just the fact that there are drones being made, not just additional Lings. It's not going to be some kind of weird follow-up attack from Elazer.
That's a very important snipe there for Elazer. He has been getting, Elazer has been getting quite a little bit ahead in the workers. You know, True's kind of just behind him, but I feel like Elazer here is skipping out on that gas, skipping the Zergling speed. He's kind of rushed on forwards. He's got the Roach Warren on the way. He's got the double Evo chamber on the way. And he's just going to be powering up on into this Roach tech. Meanwhile, True lagging behind a little bit in the drones, but he's got the third base on the way, and he's got the mobility that Zergling speed will afford him.
Yeah, you know, if I had not seen that earlier series of True versus Serral, I would think, does True have a bad read on this game, but he's been willing to play with that kind of hyper-mobile style, getting up the Lings, getting up even the Mutas. We do see the Roach Warren on the way for True, so maybe he's going to mix it up a little bit and go into the more typical play. Even in those games versus Serral, he ended up getting some Roaches at some points, but this is a bit earlier of a Roach Warren than he would in those previous games, at least.
Very nice scout for True. The moment Elazer moved out to put down a creep tumor, he just jumped on in there. He's going to get a drone for his troubles. Nice pick-off. Sees the lair, sees that it's just Roach tech on the way. And Elazer here wants to move out, take a third base. And behind that, he's going to be starting to add probably just +1 ranged. I can't imagine he's going to be going for carapace as well because he's a little bit gas-starved.
Yeah, just helping to complete the wall off, especially against a player like True, that we keep talking about those hyper-mobile things. And of course, he's gotten so many Ling run-bys into the main base of Elazer at this point that you might as well try and just prevent any more of those additional easy scouts. But as the Roaches pop out, the Queen's also finding another Overlord over here for True. Kind of nice. Not quite going to supply block him, but has been able to be very, very annoying and shutting down that vision nice and early on.
+1 and Roach speed are on the way. One thing that worries me for Elazer is his worker count is now lagging behind. What looks really good for him, though, is that army supply tab, 38 to just 14. And he's actually going to move out now to pressure with it. Does True see this? I'm not quite sure. Oh my gosh, there's even 4 queens with it.
Oh, those queens shutting down so many of the overlords. It seems like True is completely in the dark right now about this. He's got a couple of Roaches being made, but still also droning up behind this. Now starting to pump out some more Roaches. This is going to be an incredible hold if True can make it work.
Yeah, Elazer will need, you know, a few more Overlords here, but so many Roaches already on the way. About 40 seconds until Roach speed finishes. a little bit longer, I believe, for +1 range. But that's the real power point. Elazer, is he just going to push in now or is he going to wait for it? I think he might just go for it. This creep actually working for Elazer to get those queens over there a little bit quicker. He sees a lot of roaches for True, though. He has to back off for the moment. His reinforced is going to be getting over there. He's got more roaches. They're just not all here at the front just yet. He needs that roach speed to kick in. He's going to start taking the fight. He's got a lot of transfuses, Ravi.
Oh, and True does not have any transfuses on his own queens right now. He's pulling drones off the line to try and soak up as many hits as possible. He's got 50 drones to work with, so he can afford to lose a few of them, but this may very well just be the moment that we see Elazer taking the fight. If he can take this one fight, he'll move on to the grand finals. It's so close. It's within his grasp, Pig.
He just did this so decisively. He was a little bit greedy after that early pressure with the 12 pull. True was on the back foot, and Elazer transforms this into a beautiful roach timing attack. He's got a third base behind it, but all he's got on that production tab is non-stop roaches, and that's going to be all she wrote. True just didn't quite have the numbers, didn't have the scouting to realize what was up. Elazer takes it out, 3-1.
So well played by Elazer. Once again, just showing that, you know what, he can set the pace of the series by being the one being aggressive, beating True at his own game in a sense. And now, let's move on to the grand finals, even given the what's up, guys. Come at me.
Impressive play there from the young Polish player. Love to see that success. He will be going through to the grand finals. Let's hear from the man himself. He is down there on the stage with Sue.
Thank you very much, Pig. Elazer, I was looking up your history and I saw that DreamHack Valencia 2014 was your first LAN event ever. And now 3 years later, you're in the grand finals here on the main stage for the first time in your StarCraft 2 career. What's going through your head right now?
It feels amazing. First time I came to Valencia, to like my first LAN, as I said. I knew I want to win this tournament. When I saw the crowd, it was just an amazing experience, and now I'm there experiencing it. It's just like a dream.
And I know earlier when I spoke to you, amazing to hear, but I know earlier when I spoke to you, you said Cyril was the only worry you had and that you were really happy that True was the one that advanced. Seeing how True took out Cyril, was there any worries you had about him at all?
Yeah, of course. If anyone is able to beat Cyril, I'm scared because it's insanely hard. And I'm actually one of the guys that respect True for his playstyle. Like, I don't think he's easy. Like, you need to prepare well for him, and he's always scary. So I just took him serious and I beat him.
Well, the only thing better than making the grand finals is actually winning and becoming the WCS champion. But if you want to do that, you need to take out either Snoot or Special. And you have a pretty even win rate against both of them. So what are your thoughts?
I was living with Major for the last 3 weeks in Korea. I saw how hard he practiced and how good he is. And well, Snoot is very good, but I would love to play Snoot compared to Major. And I expected Nip to take game of Major, and I was hoping for that, but now Major is there and I'm really scared.
Well, congratulations again, Elazer. Best of luck in the grand finals. And with that, we have our first grand finalist here in WCS Valencia. It will be Elazer.
What a victory for Elazer there, pushing himself on to challenge for his first ever Premiership tournament. And overall, True does fall to his hands. He will be walking away here in the round of 4. But Todd, that was an aggressive Zerg versus Zerg, and Elazer prevails.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily True that was being the only aggressor either. I love that Elazer took the action to him earlier on in the series. He kind of helped set up the pace and add a lot of momentum. Congratulations, by the way. The 3-1 prediction came to fruition here.
Wow.
How is it that the more heroes you cast, the better your predictions get? That was the same at BlizzCon.
It's because I'm cursed in that game, as the Heroes community well knows. But in this one, I do all right. So there you go.
You know, prior to the tournament starting, I was talking to Elazer, and he was telling me that he really would love to play in the GSL versus the World tournaments. But obviously, when you have to be in a vote with guys like Snoot and Scarlet, it's very hard, right, to prevail. Whereas he's not as much of a fan favorite. So he thought that winning this tournament will give him a much better chance, and he's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, did well there, Roddy.
Absolutely, just a solid series by him. Obviously a little dirty, like we said before as well. We thought that True was going to be more aggressive, but we also know that Elazer isn't, you know, afraid to get his hands a little dirty, and he was dirty, but he handled it just all very well. Whenever he was aggressive, just solid execution when he had to defend. He did it incredibly well on defender's landing. He made it look easy. You know, this was not, let's be honest, not the most memorable ZvZ semifinals we've ever seen, but it was a very solid performance by Elazer, and it's awesome to see how relieved and how happy he is. Like, this is a guy who was in the semifinals of the global finals last year. That's great, but still top 4 or a grand finals. Like, grand finals always has a really nice ring to it, so well done. And I have no idea who he's going to go up against, because I think both players that are in the semis on the other side are incredibly good, but it's going to be an awesome one regardless.
He has the potential now to challenge for that direct spot in the global finals here, does Elazer. Looking at the 3 players remaining, does he have the chops to take it all?
Definitely. He's been training super hard, and it really feels like he was beating everybody anyway besides Cyril, who's not out of the way. So obviously, I think against Special, it'd be really hard anyway, because I mean, Special is just like his own brand of Terran. He's just incredibly good right now. Against Snoot as well, to be honest. Like, Snoot is known for his ZvZ, and he's just been on absolute fire this tournament. So out of the 3 players that are left here in this tournament, maybe I'd give a slight edge to Special to maybe win the whole thing, but they're very close together, and it could be any of the 3.
Your thoughts, Rotterdam?
I feel like no matter how good Elazer is, traditionally ZvT has been like the hardest matchup for him.
Yeah.
This goes back to a lot of European Zergs, by the way, because they play so much ZvZ against each other that they are getting incredibly good at it. ZvP often comes down a little bit to like, how's the current meta? Does it favor Zerg? Does it favor Protoss? And Elazer has always been quite all right against Protoss. But ZvT, I mean, he's had a couple of shaky series in the past, so...
We're all thinking the same, right? BlizzCon against TY.
Like, you know, like that
Please, those bad memories.
That's one I didn't even want to think about, but you know, so I think that Snoot would be a better opponent for Elazer, but if you make it to the grand finals, you always have a shot.
Yeah, let's check in with the brackets to see what's happened so far as our hero in Elazer in his Zergy form make sure to get to the grand final. We do have Snoot and Special coming up in just a few moments' time. But it's a good point that you brought up, Rotterdam, because overall Elazer was very happy to avoid all the Terrans in his side of the bracket, but now there is one staring him down potentially if he gets through Snoot, and a scary one against Zerg at that.
I think he's probably cheering for Snoot really bad here. As hard as Snoot is in ZvZ, again, like Terran would be way harder, so he's gonna hope. And Special, though, he's been hyped as the guy that if he can get past him, might win the whole thing. That already had beaten Cyril, even if he had to face him there. We know how good his ZvZ is, so if Special can do it there against Snoot, he might be able to make Mexico very proud here in winning a premier tournament.
I think regardless of the results now, we're going to have a very proud nation somewhere, be it Poland, be it Norway, or be it Mexico in just a few moments here for WCS Valencia. We're going to go to a break in just a few moments' time. Make sure to keep hashtagging WCS, and don't forget later on, we're going to be revealing what's inside that war chest. And I took a sneaky peek, and it was pretty amazing. So stay tuned for that.
James, you.
What?
You always take a sneaky peek, don't you?
You couldn't help yourself.
Sneaky peek. All right, we'll be back in just a few moments' time here for WCS Valencia.